Hey, boss ladies, welcome back to another episode of the Hey Boss Lady podcast. I have the boss lady herself, Lissa Figgins, founder of Redeem Her Time. Hey, Lissa, how are you?
Hey Candace, so fun to be hanging out today on Hey Boss Ladies. Thank you.
Yay, we're so excited to have you. So tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Lissa Figgins. It's Melissa without the M-E because it's not about me. And I am a Christian time management strategist. And I help business owners to make time their biggest asset, right? So often we're looking at time as our biggest obstacle, and yet it is the opportunity that allows us to grow what it is that God's entrusted to us. That's how they approach it, so that not only do they get back more time, but they also get back more from their time when they're growing their business and living their life.
I love it. And we're going to talk more about this. So tell us, how did you get to boss status and what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, well, the journey is usually a lot of making a lot of mistakes. I often talk about busyness owners are those people who are on the hamster wheel, always doing, but not really seeing much result from all the work they're doing. That was me. I was the poster child for busy, multitasking to the max, like trying to fit my business into every nook and cranny of the day. And to be honest, I wasn't really producing a lot of results. I was just exhausted and I wasn't really fully present with the people that I said mattered, the things that I said I was doing my business for. And my health really started taking a nosedive. And what ended up happening for me, so don't worry, this story has a good ending. But what happened for me is that, you know how when like you're feeling anxious about something, you get this knot in your stomach, or maybe you get like tension in your shoulders, or you're feeling like your neck or something. For me, it was a ball in my throat. But I didn't really have time to deal with it, right? Because who has time to figure that out? So after trying to chew my food better or drink more water, I just decided, But after it had been there for over a year, like constant, never going away, I started wondering, I wonder if there's something growing in there that is going to, cost me some time. Maybe I better pay attention. So I promised some of my besties I would go see a specialist who tried all kinds of things to figure out what the problem was. Finally scoped my throat and sat me down in his office one day and said, Lissa, good news is there's nothing growing in your throat. You have this feeling of a ball in your throat because you have hystericus globus. Have you ever heard of that? Hystericus globus. And so I was just sat there like, I know, I was like that too. And I'm like, what is that? And he looked at me, how like a doctor like has this like they think, I don't know, they know more than we do sometimes and they think we should understand what things are. So he goes, well, globus is like a globe. You have the sensation of a ball. And he said hystericus, and he starts swirling his finger next to his head like you're crazy. And they thought it would make me feel better to say that's where they get the word hysterectomy from because they thought women were going crazy in that season of life. And he said, it's all in your head, and I'm happy to give you a pill. Now, I am not against medication for anxiety or any other mental health things, but I knew for me it was going to be a band-aid that would allow me to keep pushing the limits of my time and trying to max everything out and still be on that hamster wheel and not getting anywhere. And so, really, it was from that walking out of his office. I wish I could say everything changed in an instant. It didn't, but it changed in that moment where all of a sudden I started realizing like I am just always chasing my not enoughness. My time is not enough. My doing is not enough. I'm not enough. It's like this slippery slope that so many of us go down. And I was trying to find my worth and my value in the things that I was doing. And I was just busy all of the time and really missing out on the things that mattered. And so God slowed down my heart, showed me that my busyness was not just a disordered calendar because I had all the time management, tools in place. It was a disordered heart, and that I needed to slow down to the purpose behind the time in front of me in the first place. And so it was through that God like led me to a scripture in Ephesians 5 that says, look carefully how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, redeeming the time, or in other translations, making the best use of the opportunity because these are difficult days. Amen to some difficult days, right? That's why we have to like pay attention and choose wisely with how we invest our time because we all get 24 hours a day and we can't make more of it no matter how much more we want. And so I started really learning what it meant to see my time as an abundant gift instead of a limited resource. And I realized there were a lot of women out there that just felt really busy, especially business owners who I call busyness owners. And so that's kind of how all this, developed was just out of my journey and my own busyness And then realizing this was the norm for so many other women out there who are trying to juggle life, business, ministry, family, health, all the things.
You know, it's so interesting because when you talk about this, what comes to mind is more like the structure that men have structured as far as like business. And you know how they are. Like they're all about the hustle. They're all about doing this and doing that. And it's like I hate to be like this, but they can do that. Like they can actually do that. But us women, we have the family at home. We have the kids. We have our time. We have their time. We even have our husband's time. And then we have the house time. We have the cat's time. We have the dog's time. You get what I'm saying?
Where's my time? Really is what it comes down to,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. So it is so interesting. It's almost like, we can do whatever we want to just as much as men do. We can. But for us, it has to be in a way that makes sense.
Sure.
For them, they can do it like sporadically anytime they want to. But for us, it definitely has to be in a way that makes sense. And then it's like, I love what you're doing because that is a constant issue. That is a constant problem. I don't have enough time to do X, Y, Z because I'm making sure the kids get out to go to school and everything.
Yeah.
So,
I
um,
like to equate it to like we have multiple tabs open all the time. I mean, think of the typical business owner's desktop right now. In fact, this would be my challenge to you. Go look at your desktop and see how many tabs you have open. Like right there, that is distracting to see like 30 tabs or more on average of all the things you have to get back to or you don't want to forget. And then they're so small you can't even see them anymore. And so you're playing tab hide and go seek, right? Like going back and forth. But that's kind of, I think, a lot of times how we as women approach our day is I've got all these open tabs, right? And so then I'm jumping from one thing to the next, and back again because like you said, it's all these other factors and all these other balls that we're juggling. And so that really leads to that feeling of not enoughness, especially around time, not being enough to do it all.
yeah, and that is so true because I've seen trainers like when they're showing their screen, the difference between a guy and us women. Yes, you're right. I've seen women trainers and entrepreneurs who have like the small tabs. It's like really small. I was like, what is all of
Oh, it
that?
stresses me out. It's like that red number on somebody's, like if you see somebody's phone and they've got like a comma in one of those red bubbles, and I'm just like, how does that even like how can you even know that there are that many things that you have to get back to? Like, yeah, it is
Yeah.
distracting,
It is. It very is. And then when I see the guys, their tabs is open. You can actually see what that particular tab is. So I was so happy that you mentioned that because I was like, yeah, I've seen that. Oh my goodness. And it's crazy. It is so crazy. Oh my goodness. We could totally go down a rabbit hole on this.
right?
Like, so
Squirrel, right? And that's part of the problem with time. I think we are so distracted, whether it's the open tabs or whether it's just the ring dings and pings that come off of this thing. I mean, let's be honest, this thing is getting a lot of our time or requesting a lot of our time. And most of it doesn't really matter. Most of it's not really moving our business forward or, like helping us to live the life that God has called us to. It's just a distraction and an interruption. And so we have to be mindful of what we're giving our yes to when it comes to our time.
that's true. That's true. The rings, dings, and pings. Oh my goodness. I should label this as the title.
Okay, you want a scary number around time? Okay,
Yeah.
here's what I always do. Okay, here's like a reality check. If you say I don't have time, grab your phone, open up your screen time, and look at that number. The average person spends 4 hours and 37 minutes a day on their phone. That's just one screen. If I did the math, and over 365 days, not accounting for sleep time, it is just shy of 100 days a year that the average person is giving to their device. And we say we don't have time. Now, there probably were some things you did on your phone that were very, like important and helped grow your business or help support your family. Like there are good things. So I'm not saying throw it out the window, but we have to pay attention to what is getting our time and attention because otherwise it's going to always feel like time is always getting away from us. And so like because of the fact that we do get 24 hours in a day, we have to be intentional with how we're investing it. Otherwise, we are going to, end up giving almost a third of our year away to something that really didn't matter.
That's crazy. I never thought about that. Like, I should time myself. I really should. But see, I spend on my phone, I watch cat videos. So that's my
Ah,
guilty play. That's like my wind down time at the end of the day is cat videos. I watch the TikTok mainly for like budgeting and everything because I love that as well. But I need to test that out like to see like how much time I actually spending on the phone.
yeah.
Like
And again, it's not that you can't watch cat videos or watch TikTok. It's putting healthy boundaries around those things and putting healthy boundaries around the time for the things that matter. Because if we let what I call the Skittles fill up our day first, there's not room for the oranges, the things that actually add value and nutrients. But here's the cool thing, and I do this demonstration, I've got it behind me on my desk. If you put the oranges in first, there's still room for all the Skittles. It's like crazy how when like I teach this concept called order determines capacity. When you are putting the things that matter in first and you're knowing when you're going to give time to those things, then yes, the Skittles of life happen and come in, but it's okay because those oranges got time and attention and get what they need to grow. And so we can live by design or we can live by default. If we don't tell our time where to go, we'll be saying, where did my time go? Right? Because someone or something will fill it for us. And so here's where there's this intention, especially for a business owner. Ladies, if you are building a business, time is your most valuable business asset. You may think it's your team, you may think it's your brand, you may think it's your, physical products or your offer or whatever, but if you don't have time to actually do something with that, none of that is going to matter anything at all, right? So we have to focus on time first and what kind of results are we getting from the way we're investing time in order to really see the growth happen.
yes, I like that. And I loved it in your workshop when I attended like the visuals and I was like, "Oh my goodness." And that stuck with me, by the way. I just want to let you know.
Good,
It definitely
good.
stuck with me and the whole visual and I was like, "Oh my goodness, like yeah, I'm definitely going to have to work on some things." And that systems for me is definitely was a top for me. So, I
Yeah.
want to thank you for that wonderful workshop.
Welcome and shout out to, yeah, if you guys want to come join my workshop, like reach out and I would love to invite you to one. I teach that we need to have CEO schedules, systems, and strategy from a perspective of time stewardship. And we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Yes. So, what's one pivot that surprised you the most and taught you something game-changing about yourself?
Mm. It was learning that I couldn't do it all. And that when I was trying to just max out my time, that wasn't what was going to bring the fruitfulness. It was actually when I slowed down to really, number one, spend time with the Lord. Number two, look at my time as a gift. And number three, really focus on the purpose behind my time that I started seeing the growth. I think so often we think I just have to do more and then I will get more results. And actually, in this case, more is less, because we can be doing so much, but it not being in the right way or in the right things or at the right time, the right season of our business or life. And it's just going to be busyness. It's just going to be checking boxes. And so I think that was just a real eye opener for me was because Lissa would always just do more. I'm a one on the Enneagram. Ones love to do things and do things well and always figure out how to do them better. And more has got to be better, right? Like, so that's what I would always do is just always have to add this one more thing. And I would, like you were sharing, get on a workshop or a webinar or something like that with some guru, and I would hear one more thing and okay, add that to the plate and add that to the plate. And I just thought that's where all my growth was going to come was from just doing more. And actually, it wasn't. It was actually in slowing down, paying attention to where my time was going and what like really evaluating the return I was getting on it rather than just filling it.
I love that. I was listening to Amy Porterfield's podcast, and she mentioned that she had made it a point last year to make it her goal this year to slow down
Mm.
and try to do less. But sometimes it's hard for us to get out of that mode when we were in that
If you're a
mode.
business owner, yeah, you're a doer. Like you can't, I don't think you can be in business and not be somebody who, yeah, is a doer. So it does take intentionality. It takes blocking off that time. And I teach business owners to block off the time you're not working first, because otherwise you will always be working, right? Like decide when you're going to be done, even if your list isn't done, even if the project that you're wanting to do. Now, can you make an exception, because you're close or you have a timeline, yes, but that's something that's like for a season, not like your norm of this is just how it always is. And I'm, working all day long and then coming back to it at night and never turning off your brain. I mean, you can close your laptop, but can you turn off your brain and actually be present with the people that are right around you when you're not in front of a computer? I think that's a big challenge for us as business owners.
Yeah, I agree. I agree so much. So you stated you have time, but time management is not the solution to getting more out of it. In fact, it's the problem. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I used to be an English teacher, so I love definitions. To manage literally means to keep contained or controlled, right? So think about like a manager at a fast food restaurant. They are running around behind that counter trying to keep everything under control. It's very much like a game of whack-a-mole, trying to keep everything in place. And if you're watching the video, you can see like my hands are, it's very hands down because I'm trying to keep it contained, right? When you're containing something, it does not have room to grow. It is not able to expand. It's just, you're just managing is trying to keep things from getting away, right? So when we time management focuses just on the saving of time, right? I want to save and contain time so it doesn't get away from me. But I actually think that that's like putting a lid on your results. Yes, you may get all of your ducks in a row, right? And keep them there for 30 seconds before this, things start popping out and then you're constantly chasing that, right? But that's exhausting and it's fruitless. But that's how we approach time when we see it as this limited resource. I only get 24 hours, therefore I have to keep it contained before it gets away from me. There's no growth in that. That's maintaining or surviving, honestly, right? What I teach is this perspective of time stewardship. It's this open-handedness of I'm receiving time as a gift. I didn't make it. God made it. He faithfully laid 24 hours in my lap, in your lap, and everyone who's listening's lap this morning. And he will continue to do that, right? Like I can't save up from yesterday or borrow from tomorrow. I've been given this gift, but if all I do is hang on to it, right, it's not going to produce anything. And so, what I want to do then as a steward, what a steward does is a steward takes the assets that have been entrusted to them and they invest it on behalf of the owner with an expectation of return, right? Because if you've entrusted money to me, Candace, so say, for example, you give me $10,000, right? And then you go on vacation, right? And you're like, hey, Lissa, I want you to watch over this for me while I'm gone. Like, you're not just saying, hey, Lissa, put this in your mattress, so that it's here when I get back. Like when someone entrusts something to them, especially like financially, they are expecting that person. Think of like, the person that is doing your investments. Like you want them to bring back a return. You don't want to get back from your vacation and then be like, oh, here's your same money back, or here's sorry, I spent some on Amazon and went to Target and whatever. Like you're going to be like, hello, I gave it to you because I wanted you to grow my asset, not just hold on to it. And so that's this concept of time stewardship is like, it doesn't even belong to me. Like God gave it to me. And so now that should motivate productivity and profitability. That should motivate me to be looking for opportunities, wise ones, going back to that verse, right? Not as unwise, but as wise, to invest it in a way that's going to bring back more return. And I often like point people back to the parable that Jesus told in Matthew 25 about the three servants who've been given a talent. A talent was 20 years wages. So that guy that got one talent, don't feel bad for him. He had 20 years wages in his hands. So take what you earned last year times 20. That's a good sum, right? But he, out of fear, contained it. He managed to keep it from getting away. But when he went to give it back to the master was like, what did you do? Like, get away from me, you wicked and lazy servant. Like, that's not why I gave it to you. But the other two, one was given 2 talents, one was given 5 talents. They understood it didn't belong to them. They understood that their role was to invest it on behalf of the master. So they did. They went out and invested or traded or planted or whatever they did with it, and it doubled, right? So that one guy, when he just tried to manage, it didn't grow at all. He's lucky he didn't lose some and that it just stayed where it was. But when we invest it as stewards, now there's opportunity for growth and expansion. And so that's why I teach that time management is not helping you grow. It's actually limiting your growth. It's stunting your growth. It's when we start stewarding time and we're expecting a return because we're investing it wisely. Now we start seeing the growth happening.
I love that. That was a mic drop moment, by the way.
I preached to myself here too, girl, because girl, I was the time management girl for forever. I would hop on every webinar about time management. I had all the planners, I had the checklists, I had but I still felt busy. I still felt behind. I still felt like my time wasn't enough. I was still always chasing it. And that's the problem with time management is it's this fear-based response to time versus a faith-based response to time. It's this, I'm just trying to maintain and survive with the time I have versus I'm trying to expand and grow with the time that I have.
Now I want to go read the verse.
Ah, right.
I remember my pastor preached on that. But I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go back to it, like, and like really study it because it makes a lot of sense. It makes tons of sense. And especially with our lives. Like we're given our life, we have this beautiful life that God has given us and is what you do here on earth for the glory. That's what matters, like what did you do with your time. It's a saying, if you want to see dreams that died, go to, or a lot of dreams, go to the grave, because there were a lot of people who had these dreams, didn't do anything with it, and now they're gone.
One
That's
of the
sorry,
things I
that's
teach on is the concept of sowing and reaping, which is all over, if you live in a rural community like I do, and it's all over scripture as well. And here's the thing. I can give you, Candace, I can give you 100 seeds. And as long as they are just in your hand and you don't do anything with them, it's not going to grow anything. As long as they're in your hand and you're looking around at how many seeds other people have or how big their fields are, those seeds aren't going to do anything for you. It's not until you, Candace, put those seeds that I've entrusted to you in the ground and sow them. And to sow actually means to start the growth process, right? So while we're sitting here complaining that we don't have enough time or comparing how we think somebody else has more time or more whatever, all along we are wasting exactly what is in our hands, right? So it's like, what am I going to intentionally do with this gift that is in my hands? And there is no farmer who puts seed in the ground and expects to get back exactly what he put in, because one of the laws of the harvest is not just you reap what you sow, but you reap more than you sow, right? So every little kernel of corn does not just bring back one kernel, it brings back ears and ears and ears, right? Like, so there is this faith piece of it. And one of the other laws of the harvest is that you don't sow and reap in the same season. Like no farmer puts seed in the ground and the next day is expecting to have a full grown, plant with something to pick. And so as business owners, we have to be intentional with our sowings, and watering of that and letting God bring the growth. And then when the time comes, right, there's that harvest. But it involves us putting the seed in the ground. And that I believe is our time, and then we invest it in the fields, our life and business that God has called us to.
oh, so beautiful.
I need
It's
word pictures. Like I need like for especially for something like time. It's like you can't get your fingers on it. You can't, so I need these little things that like help me go, okay, my time is like a seed. My fields are my business or my life or my ministry, or my health or whatever. Like, how am I intentionally investing these seeds in these fields and expecting the growth?
Oh, I love that perspective. Now I'm going to be thinking about it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You implanted it in my head. I love it so much, so much. Awesome. So, as you know, hey, boss ladies, we're all about connection and collaboration. What type of collaborations are you looking for right now?
Oh, I love this question. I love that you're about collaboration because, again, here is another great, like, just response to our time is, like not comparing to other people. I think there's a lot of competition out there, but like, how can we do collaboration? So I would say my best collaboration opportunities right now, number one, I have a podcast called Redeem Her Time, where we talk about this intersection of life and time and faith and business and how all of this comes together. And so I love getting to do podcast swaps. So if there are any podcast hosts who are listening who you have an audience of women in business who also want to be faithful and fruitful with their time, those are great conversations. I love doing like joint type ventures as well. So whether it's a workshop or a webinar or being able to come in and go in and speak to each other's memberships or groups or things like that. I think those are great ways to. And a lot of people talk about time, but they're not really going into like the level and depth of what I teach. And again, I call myself an untime management strategist. So we're flipping time management on its head, and really coming at it from a whole different perspective of time stewardship. And so, if somebody is working with, a team or they're working, they're teaching people a concept, here's the thing. They'll never apply it if they're not approaching their time in the right way. And so I think time is like that underlying thing everywhere. So yeah, opportunities to be able to, help each other's audiences with our skill sets and our specialties, I think is a great collaboration opportunity too.
Yes, love it. So, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, well, my first place would be the Redeem Her Time podcast. I love hanging out there. And then I actually have a Redeem Her Time community. If you go to redeemhertime.com/community or just go to my website, you can click on the link there. I have a business directory inside where I give permission to promote your business any day of the week. And we are being intentional about how we're investing time in our life and in our business. So those are, yeah, probably the best places to hang out as well. And then I do have a new private podcast that I just put together called the Profitable and Productive CEO. So if you like to binge podcasts, I talk about the laws of sowing and reaping and how it brings a hundredfold growth, which is 10,000%. Let's be honest. That's a lot. And I teach about how, like what the true secrets are to more productivity and how we can never change how much time we have. So that means we have to approach our time differently. And so I really walk you through some key principles inside of that. And my promise is by listening to that podcast, you're going to get back 5 hours this week. And that's just the beginning. So if you want to check that out, you can either go to my website, redeemhertime.com, and you'll see links all over the place to go ahead and subscribe to the private podcast.
Awesome. I cannot wait. And yes, I am in Alyssa's community. It is gorgeous and beautiful, and I just love the navigation of it and everything that you put into it, and it's just well thought out. So, yeah, definitely go to her community and join because it's amazing. It really is. Well, I thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks, Candace. This has been really fun. I pray that this time, of us having a conversation and people listening is going to be fruitful for you. And if we can just end on like one simple thing, and here's what I would love to say to the audience. Number one, you have time. Like, stop saying I don't have time. I ran out of time. Time got away from me. I'll have time when, like, as long as you keep doing that, you're never going to feel like you're always going to be behind. So, like, whenever those thoughts come up, just say, no, I have time. And then the second question or the second thing I want to leave is shift the question you ask about your time. So often we run around and we look at a clock on our phone, on our computer, on our wall, and we ask the question, what time is it? And as soon as we hear that, we go, right? Because we're behind, right? Inevitably, nobody's like going, oh, it's only that time. Most of us are feeling like, start asking the question, what is it time for? That slows you down to the presence and the purpose of your time. It's almost the same question. It's like one tiny little word different, but what is it time for? Now is going to keep me from hustling and hurrying and just throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something is going to, stick. But it's going to help you be mindful, eliminate the multitasking, and really give your full time and attention to something that matters, whether that's in your business or in your life, so that it can grow. So, yeah, you have time, and asking the question, "What is it time for?" I think are the two takeaways I want people to take away from today.
Well, thank you so much for that takeaway.
I preach it to myself, girl. It's like all over. It's on the sign behind me. It's on the screensaver I give in my community. Like it's like in my head all the time because otherwise, squirrel, hello, shiny objects, right? And then our time is like, is gone. So we have to be intentional that it's here and that there's a purpose behind it.